to another beautiful day. It is Talk Sport live on your screen. This is the time a lot of people have been waiting for, especially the sports lovers. The one great game, talk about the tennis, talk about handball, rugby, talk about, which other one do I want to talk about? Golf, of course, and so many other sporting activities happening around the world is what we are bringing to you right now. My name is Ramsey Enoch, and of course, so many things happening from the world of sports that I can't say alone, and that's why the king of sport had to be brought on the show today. When you have a king, you should know what's about happening. Details hitting your speakers are hitting the airwaves, are hitting your screen right away. Well, I don't know, but then your television speakers, of course. And of course, the king of sport is joining me on sports today. We're talking sport with the king of sport. And that is Anthony Mamodu himself. Good morning, Anthony.
Good morning. Last night, super amazing Champions League. A lot of upset we saw last night. The Galacticos, some say taken to the cleaners, but I think it's one of those nights where things just don't go your way. Carlo Ancelotti, one of the most successful coaches in history, European football, talking 14-time champions. Real Madrid got beaten yesterday in Lille in France. It was sad homecoming for Kylian Mbappe and the other French players that were in the Real Madrid team. But I think the fans of the Galacticos were very obviously, they knew their players gave their all, but it wasn't just their night.
Their all was given up, but the all wasn't just enough. All the people are saying is, give us results, give us the goals. Now let's take you to the results reactions from the Champions League matches that were played yesterday. I'm beginning from that of Aston Villa as they beat Bayern Munich. Oh my God. Aston Villa beating Bayern Munich. A lot of people never saw that coming. That game ended 1-0. And of course, yesterday was another turn again thanks to a brilliant later Argentinian's goal. And of course, as the host celebrated in style. The celebration came, but it came in style, and that is their first home game in Europe's elite club competition for 41 beautiful years. We're talking about 41 years right here, and the win was a throwback to one of the Villa's most glorious days when they beat Bayern Munich to life. That's the time for them to lift the European Cup, and that was way back in 1982. That's a long time coming, and of course, like Ancelotti makes no excuses after Real Madrid's shock defeat at Lille, like the king of sport was actually talking about it Royce just now. Nobody saw that coming, but then you need to accept it in good faith, and that's exactly what the coach is doing as the Lille beat the defending champions Real Madrid, and Real Madrid on their own part show what I call a very, very, very good side of the game. But then, if the god of soccer travel from your end, that's how it actually ended. Real Madrid actually failed to show the best version of themselves yesterday, and it was a shock 1-0 Champions League defeat at Lille. And as a matter of fact, a lot of people are criticizing them for that game, and they must accept the criticism, as the coach have actually said. The manager Carlo Ancelotti said Lille deserve to win despite Real Madrid's improved showing in the second half of the match. Real Madrid, who are second in La Liga standings with 18 good beautiful points, are next hosting third place of Villarreal on Saturday. That's going to be their next game, and rampant Benfica also smashed Atletico in the Champions League as Atletico Madrid fell to a humiliating 4-0 Champions League game. Oh my God. Yesterday was another, should I say, a worst day for them. Diego Simeone will not keep quiet on this one. He will always have something to say, and that's why we call them coaches that are always on the watch. Simeone's side were thoroughly outplayed and, of course, outfought in Lisbon. on the Portuguese side, of course, triumph emphatically to record a second win in 2 matches in the competition. Atletico have now won just one of their last 10 Champions League away matches so far, and of course, barely, I think, troubled Benfica at the Estadio de Luz. Nobody saw this coming, but then this is a game. And of course, the King of Sport, let's quickly talk about this in just a few minutes. You just talked about the game of Real Madrid just now briefly, but then looking at that, can we say Real Madrid is going to come up again triumphantly in their next game? Then we'll also look at the second goal, Atletico. As a matter of fact, they now have won just one of their last 10 Champions League games. What are you saying? What are you thinking? What's your opinion?
For Real Madrid, we know we've seen them go through this path in the past, and they have a way of always bouncing back. Every time they lose, it's more like a wake-up call for them in the Champions League, and we're not at the crucial stages yet, so they still have the chance to bounce back, and we know the Galacticos will definitely bounce back. For the next match, we're definitely going to see a more clinical Real Madrid. Last night wasn't just their night. The lead also gave a good account of themselves. Their goalkeeper was spot on. And don't forget, they were playing at home, so whether you like it or not, home support did play a role for Lille last night. But Atletico, it's very sad, Atletico being bashed 4-0. That's very unusual. Though we're looking at Benfica, a powerhouse in Portuguese football, but they're not Champions League winners of recent memory. But the way they took the Atletico Madrid to the cleaners was very disturbing. It shows that there's something Diego Simeone didn't get right in terms of his formation, or probably he underrated what Benfica was going to bring on the table that night. But for Atletico, like you rightly pointed out, they've just won 2 matches in as much as 10 games, which is also not good. But we know that they brought in some players, Gallagher and Cole, into the mix. And for some persons, we believe that Diego Simeone has overstayed his welcome in Atletico. He has done great for them, and I think this is a time when, after this season, he should be moving to other teams. He's a good coach, and he wouldn't be out of job for long if he leaves Atletico. So for Atletico, you cannot predict them this season. In the past, you could say yes, Atletico would come back. You could say yes, one of the best teams in Europe. But for this season, you cannot put your money on Atletico. Previous seasons, we saw them challenge for the La Liga, but in the last few seasons we've seen them, they're not the top dogs they used to be when it comes to the La Liga. Girona last season showed the difference. So with what happened to them in Portugal, it means they are beatable. They were beaten 4-0, but if you look at Real Madrid in the opposite direction, they just lost by a goal. So it tells you Real Madrid is still a better team and can turn around the tables. But 4-0, when you're beating 4-0 in the Champions League, it's a big mountain down defeat. It's a big mountain to climb. So it's like when they host Benfica will be more strategic. They would not come out all guns blazing. They'll be very tactical because they know they've got the job done at home already. So it's going to be a very tall one for Atletico. But for Real Madrid, you can count on Real Madrid. The Galacticos will always come back, and they've got the star players that can get the job done.
The star players that can actually get the job done are right there. But then, I don't know, 4-0, and you're talking about just 1-0 here. I said it, and I'll keep saying it, that any game that ends with just a goal difference, it means that match was a very tough game. Okay, let's see what will happen. We wish the two of them good luck. Atletico Madrid and, of course, Real Madrid, we wish them best of luck. Remember, in their derby, they drew the game. But right now, losing 4-0, my God. Atletico Madrid, what's the problem? Moving away from there, slot makes Liverpool history as Reds beat Bologna. A lot of people may say, oh, you're talking about Bologna here, but then I think it was a good one as Arne Slot became the first Liverpool manager to actually win 8 of his opening 9 matches as Mohamed Salah's brilliant stake seal a 2-0 victory against Bologna in the Champions League matches that were played yesterday. That was one of the matches that actually caught the fancy of a lot of people. Slot has made a flying start to his region, and of course his reign after replacing Jurgen Klopp, and of course Liverpool's second successive victory in the season's Champions League was another landmark again. It was a moment for the Dutchman. Liverpool now began their European campaign with a 3-1 win against AC Milan. If you could remember, I'm taking you back memory lane a little bit, and as a matter of fact, this was another confident display again. It's Slot's first taste of the Champions League evening at Anfield. Unlike the other games, Slot, a short start already has the 6-time Kings of Europe dreaming of another memorable Champions League campaign with 1 point following a goalless draw with Shakhtar Donetsk in their first Champions League match for 60 good, beautiful years. That's a very long one. Bologna's trip to Anfield was described as a dream come true, but their sporting director, talking about Marco Di Vato, is the one saying that. But then, as a matter of fact, dream come true. But then, how did they really go? Do you see this game ending the way it actually ended? Because, as a matter of fact, the way it is right now, we're talking about 60 years here. Someone may say, well, you're talking about a game of this caliber, but then talking about Liverpool. Liverpool is one club that you can't just write off just like that. But then what about Bologna? Did they just come there to play? That's it. It is a game. No one actually came to play. Everyone came struggling for the 3 points, you know.
True. Bologna did give a good account of themselves. Yes, they've been the team you would describe as a middle team in the Italian league, and for them to venture into the Champions League against a big team like Liverpool. Don't forget, Liverpool are ex-champions of the Champions League, so it means they're playing a very tough opponent, and they did well. They were not taken to the cleaners, beating 5-0 or 6-0, so you want to give them cut some slack.
That's it.
And for
That's
a
it.
Slot, I think he's fitting perfectly. To an extent, he had made Liverpool fans forget Jurgen Klopp because he has been winning his matches. He has gotten the job done, and Mohamed Salah seemed to have rediscovered his form, and so the Pharaoh from Egypt is scoring great goals, very important goals for Liverpool, and definitely means they would never walk alone, and Liverpool should be one of the teams we'll be looking at to get into the knockout stages of the UEFA Champions League.
Never walk alone. All right, that was Mo Salah right there. Let's talk about Mo Salah a little bit before we go into the next game. Mo Salah recently said he will still want to continue in Manchester United. Remember,
Liverpool.
In Liverpool, I beg your pardon. Money is gone, and a lot of people are saying, hey, come on, you've overstayed your welcome, and it's better to leave when the ovation is high. Some person said that was some form of a mind game, that maybe he's trying to give himself more value in Liverpool. But then, what do you think about that? Continue in Liverpool, or maybe next season, next transfer, you should be thinking of moving out. Probably when your contract is ended, you should be thinking of moving out instead of renew your contract with Liverpool.
I think renewing his contract with Liverpool is the right way to go. Don't forget, he's a legend in Liverpool, and legends don't leave their clubs by the wayside. They continue. Most times they run their contract down, and they even re-sign. Remember what happened to Cristiano Ronaldo? He left Manchester United, went to Real Madrid, went to Juventus, achieved all he could, and he still had a way to find his way back to Old Trafford. There are certain marks you make in clubs that you become an icon, and Mohamed Salah has done that. Remember, he started with Chelsea. He went to the Italian league, Lazio, Fiorentina, came back to the English league, and got it right with Liverpool. That was where he began to announce himself. And so he has done a lot for Liverpool. He's been a key man during Jurgen Klopp's stay. Like you pointed out, Mane used to be very instrumental for all the successes and goals he scored for Liverpool. So this is a time for him to prove a point that without Mane, I'm still the man behind the mask, and he's doing that, scoring great goals, important goals for Liverpool. And I think one more year is something Liverpool would be willing to give to him, because he has been a very great ambassador for Liverpool. And don't be surprised, I see him even getting more than a year contract, because he's so
about his age. His age really on his side.
Like they say, a fine wine gets better as they grow older. And if you watch Salah when he plays with experience. He strikes his ball with accuracy. His shots are more accurate. His passes, as usual, are very divisive passes he gives. Look at the goal he scored last night. Beautiful, excellent. Only great players score those kind of goals, and he's a great player, and you cannot want to live without Mohamed Salah. Don't forget, he's a fellow from Africa.
He's a fellow from Africa. You sound like you have special love for Salah. You're wishing him all the best in his career.
He's been amazing. He's been
amazing. Yeah. Well, that's the king of sport right there. King of sport always support people who are amazing in what they do. So I'm not really surprised hearing him talk about Mo Salah like this, and more still coming from the world of sport. This very beautiful morning. This is Talk Sport on Global Television right here. More agony as Girona tumble against Feyenoord. As a matter of fact, they lost their first ever home Champions League match 3-2 against Feyenoord on Wednesday. That was yesterday, with 2 own goals helping the Dutch team edge a thrilling battle. Girona, as a matter of fact, where the Spanish top flight surprise package last season, eventually finishing third, and they were able to reach the Champions League, and not just the Champions League, even the European football too. They were fantastic and amazing, and for the first time in their history, they were able to get to that feat. And right there, let's also know that however, after losing various key players in the summer, Mikel Sanchez's side have not found their stride this season. Girona fell to a 1-0 defeat at Paris Saint-Germain, which everyone will not be surprised at that scoreline in their Champions League opener. That was their first game with goalkeeper Apollo Gazanigas, 90th minute on goal, settling the game in the French team's favor. And as a matter of fact, moving away from there, let's also let you know that something fantastic happened for Barcelona, and of course we'll be talking about that as Zeni comes out of retirement to replace injured as the stadium at Barcelona. Barcelona have now signed Zeni as a free agent, and the La Liga club said yesterday, after the Polish goalkeeper reversed his decision to retire and come back to the team just to aid his team. And that's why we talk about good relationship. When you have a very good relationship with your club, leaving the club without closing the door, leaving the door open at any instance, they will need you, and sometimes you will need them also. And that's the reason we always say, whatever you are doing, if you are leaving anyone in every relationship, is very important. Not just sport, but every sphere of life. Just make sure you keep the door open in case of anything happening. His return right now is going to be a very good one, and the goalkeeper who underwent a surgery because of the injury he suffered, that is the rupture of the patellar tendon in his right knee over the weekend, and he is already expected to miss the rest of the season, and he's just 34-year-old, and he has a lot to go. But the return of the goalkeeper right now, some persons say that's not the best way to go. Some other persons are questioning, don't they have a second goalkeeper? Why go bring someone from retirement? Let's get on it at the king of sport.
I think
returning from retirement, coming from retirement, what do you think about
there's
that?
certain positions in the football team where you need massive experience, and you don't need a rookie. And looking at Chesney, we remember him in his Arsenal days, moving to the Italian league for Roma and all that. So he's got the experience. And for Barcelona, they've got a very top-notch recruitment process. So if Barcelona comes calling, you cannot say no to Barcelona. You cannot say no
especially looking at
to
the
Real
pedigree
Madrid
of the club.
For them to go for Chesney, it shows Chesney has shown consistency over time in the Italian league, and the Italian league is one of the toughest league. And if you can be that consistent in the Italian league, it means you must be super good. He's also number one for the Polish national team. It shows you he was that good. And for Barcelona to go back and say he's the one they want, it means he's got the quality for being in between the sticks. And like I said, you need someone who's got massive experience, someone who's not going to get jittery when he's thrown in a mix. And currently, Barcelona, their defense is not top-notch. And so it means they need someone who is really good. And I think they went for the right man to be in between the sticks for them. And it's an honor for Chesney, and Chesney will definitely give his all.
I think it's an honor. I look at it as an honor,
Yes,
because
it is.
if you're not good and if you're not valued and treasured, no one will come for you after retirement.
Sure.
So I think that's a good one. And more
You
so
see how long it took David De Gea after he left Manchester United.
Yes.
Despite being how good he looked or seemed to be for Manchester United, no big team actually came calling for him until recently when he went back to the Italian league, and it has not been the same. And it also shows why Luis Enrique kept dropping him when he was in charge of the Spanish national team. So there's a comma, like we say, in David De Gea's goalkeeping skills.
There's a comma. Well, something is missing, probably.
Something missing, yes,
all right,
something.
and of course that has resulted to that incident. But then I think it's all good as Jenny is coming back, and it is a good one. All right, let's quickly move away from there. But before then, let's go on a quick break. After this break, we'll return, and of course we will go we'll talk more about things that are happening. Other matters are rising. We will talk about the game between Sheffield United as they extended their unbeaten start to the league season, and that's going to be after this break. United extended their unbeaten start to the league season. Welcome back from that short break. It's actually a very short one because we need to bring you up to speed with things happening from the world of sport. More so that the king of sport is right here to talk sport alongside Ramsey this morning. And as we speak right now, it is a very fantastic one for them as they climb to third place with a 1-0 win against Swansea City at Bramley. Now, Swansea defender, talking about Josh Timon, score a first half own goal as the Blades score their fifth league win since last season's relegation from the Premier League. And as I speak with you right now, Bristol City and Sheffield yesterday share a goalless draw too at Ashton Gate. Then moving away from there, it will also interest you to know that Conte plays down Napoli's title chances. My God, that's it for me. Antonio Conte, you know his pedigree. As a matter of fact, he has taken Napoli back to the top of Serie A for the first time since they won the title in 2023. But he says while the fans can dream of regaining the crown, according to Conte, he said he have kept his feet on the ground. And as a matter of fact, the next test of their title credential comes on Friday, and that's going to be the time that they will host Inform Como, coached by former Spain and Arsenal star. Says Fabregas, you know what we're talking about right here. And Napoli were of course benefiting from not being engaged in European competition after a disastrous defense of their crown resulted in the finishing 10th last season. They go into the 7th round of the matches, a point clear of Juventus as the top of the game. Antonio Conte making this statement. One, don't you think this statement in a way may be discouraging to the players? Then some persons are saying, well, you don't give the fans, okay, too much hope, so that in case anything happens, if you win, that's good. But then in case anything happen, all right, shuts down their expectation, you would be taken unawares because you already sang the warning. But some other persons are saying that statement is not so good. But he is the coach and he knows what he's saying. I don't know what your own opinion is.
We know Antonio Conte has been also one of the successful coaches in Italian football, and Conte is playing smart. He's playing mind games, trying not to take away the pressure from his players. Already, like he rightly pointed out, he's keeping his feet on the ground, meaning he doesn't want to get carried away with the victories and how well his team is doing. You could see there's something Conte has that you could liken to Jose Mourinho, the special one. The fact that he's got eyes for quality players, he knows how to pick players and plug into his team's areas or department he feels is missing. You could see how strategic it was for him to pick Tommy McTominay from Manchester United into the Napoli team. Nobody saw that coming. But if you look at Scott McTominay, in the recent 2 years ago, he's been scoring crucial goals for Scotland, and he has been carrying Scotland on his shoulders. And recently, he also has been scoring goals for Manchester United. No wonder lots of people are surprised Man U let him go, because he's beginning to show his full potentials. So he took a Conte to bring him to Napoli. We saw him, Conte also allowing Victor Osimhen, despite the hype around him, to let him go, and he decided to bring Lukaku because he felt Lukaku is someone he has worked with. He believes Lukaku knows the Italian league very well. He needed a player who's got force and who could also score goals. And what he's doing, don't forget, he's trying to also beat Spalletti's record of having won the Italian league and also having done well in the Champions League, and he knows that's a mountain to climb. So that's why he doesn't want to get carried away with the recent successes Napoli has gotten already. For Antonio Conte, he's a very shrewd coach, and so he knows what he's doing. He's playing mind games, trying to also take away, divert the attention from his players so that the players can concentrate on getting the job done. And Napoli, definitely we expect the very best from them. We know they've got a very shrewd owner in Lorente, who is a very shrewd businessman. That's why you see it took Osimhen so much time to leave Napoli, because he wanted to get as much as he could. And Gala, already also playing smart, decided to take on Osimhen, because we know that Chelsea is already angling to put a £40 million bid for Osimhen in January. So all these are all strategic moves, and Conte as a coach also only goes to a club where he has full control. And once you have a full control as a manager, it means you can call the shots, and he knows where he's playing at. Don't be surprised, Napoli might just steal this our title and the Scudetto this season.
But then, as some persons said, Osimhen was going to be missed in Napoli. Do you see Osimhen being missed, or will he ever be missed in Napoli?
He will be missed somewhere along the line.
Despite the fact that he has replacement?
Yes, Napoli, they're winning games now. That's why Conte also being careful. He's saying, don't get carried away. We've seen Lukaku many times, though he looks at his best when he's at the Italian league, but other leagues, he seemed to run out of goals somewhere along the line. If Lukaku crops injury, then we might begin to see the real strength of Napoli. When certain players get injured or get suspended, that's how we're going to know if Napoli has what it takes to win this title. So that's why Conte, on his own part, is also being careful, because he knows he's playing with his full strength right now. So it might look like you're missing Osimhen, but we know Osimhen is a very, very strategic player. He's got force. He's very skillful. That's the difference between him and Lukaku. He's more skillful than Lukaku. He knows how to hold on to play. He can create chances for his teammates also. So definitely you cannot but miss a man who gave you your Scudetto after almost 30 years.
I think like that ending, you can't. There is no way. Whether you pretend or not, he's good, he's good. But then let's see if Lukaku will really be the person that will fit into that shoe 100%. Moving away from there, let's also intimate you that Inter Milan will host Torino, and that's going to be on Saturday. Coming into the game fresh from a good win in the Champions League phase, and with Argentina star Lautaro Martins rediscovering his scoring form, Torino will want to get back to winning ways after two successive home defeats in the cup against Empoli, and of course then to Lazio in the league. Juventus and AC Milan both have good opportunities to pick up their 3 points to keep the pressure on Napoli. We're still talking about Napoli, on whom some pressure will be coming very soon. But Juventus on their own part host lowly Cagliari on Sunday, with AC Milan traveling all the way to mid-table Fiorentina. And of course, don't forget, little wonder, the no-nonsense Conte is not permitting himself to make any bold prediction, with the season still very young, and he is just looking forward to what will happen. Looking at these fixtures, which of these games actually caught your fancy, and which one do you think the games are for Saturday? And I talk about Juventus hosting Loli Cagliari. I know a lot of people will give that game to Juventus, but remember what happened last weekend when Galatasaray, after 3 goals, their opponents came from behind to equalize that game. So sometimes in football, the round play that game. In every game, you don't take any team for granted.
Juventus have got 12 points. Cagliari has got 5 points. So basically, you just have like a 7 point difference. Not too much, because if you win 2 matches, you've already gotten. For Cagliari, yes, they needed team, and Juventus have been off and on this season. In the Champions League, we saw them concede first before they came back and did win their match. I think that game is a very tricky one for Juventus. If they try to look down on Cagliari, they might pay the price, because their defense line has not been amazing this season, but their attack force is amazing. They've got one of the firepowers, one of the best strikers in the world currently, Vanovic, and that alone is what they'll be counting on. Their attack line is something that's going to give them that strength. Over this the transfer window, they let Chiesa go. Chiesa for me was one of the workaholics in their attack line. But on paper, you definitely give the old lady of Turin all the 3 points, knowing fully well that they know what they want. They are angling to see how they can win this out title after they lost their former coach Allegri. They've been looking to restart the journey, but for the old lady of Turin, they've got tradition when it comes to Italian league, and so I think most likely the worst result they will get would be a draw. But for the old lady of Turin, definitely my money will be on them to get all 3 points.
Okay, your money will be on Inter Milan to also win Torino, or Torino to win Inter Milan? Inter
Milan Torino is another tricky tie. Inter Milan, or if you look at the tables, our table, it's 13, 12, 11. So the difference between the top 3 teams, the 4th, the 5th, and 6th, not so much of a difference. So it means the league is still early. Martinez, yes, he has rediscovered his scoring form. Martinez is a very, very, very tactical side. They've got a very world-class coach in Simone Inzaghi, who was a poacher during his days for the Italian national team and for Inter Milan. They've got a coach who's attack-minded, and so Torino is another very interesting team. Team, and they've got some players that are not very popular, but a very neater team, and they can hurt you if you put them down. But looking at Inter Milan, I think they're on fire in the last 3 games, and so it's going to be very hard for Torino to stop them, but it's going to be a very tricky one.
It's going to be a very tricky one. Let's quickly say this. I just want to say something about Jude Bellingham.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, his mojo, his scoring pedigree is dropping, and the fans are beginning to wonder what's happening.
I think the answer is not very far. It just started the day Kylian Mbappe came into the Real Madrid team. You know, there's something about when you're the star player, you know the burden is on you, and Bellingham lost that challenge. But once Kylian Mbappe came in and the whole focus was on Kylian Mbappe, then obviously he's human. Psychologically, it affected his mojo. Remember the first game Mbappe played, there were issues between Mbappe, Bellingham, and Rodrigo. In fact, in the dressing room,
the three big boys.
In the dressing room, Bellingham was pointing out the flaws of Mbappe to him and Rodrigo. So you could tell that there was already that's mix already, having issues already, and it's going to take him. I think this is where the psychologist of the team needs to talk to the players, that they have to up their game. Yes, Mbappe came in as the big boy or the star boy of Real Madrid, but it doesn't mean you cannot step up the plate and deliver the team. Even Vinicius Junior, we see that shine Vinicius Junior used to have from the wings, he's lacking it. Like yesterday, there were many moves he made that didn't go through. Usually, Vinicius Junior would be the man to save Real Madrid, but yesterday it was off the mark. Don't forget that we've got Hendrick also in the mix, and I think that's one big issue the Galacticos have this season. Too many star players came into the team, and so there's this crisis. Who is the star boy of the team? Yes, officially Mbappe is the one, but on the pitch of play, they get to sort that out. They need someone who's going to lead the pack for them to be able to bounce back fully.
That's a good problem. The coach has something. He has too many stars. When you have too many star players, and you yourself as the coach, if you're not very good, you have problems.
Yeah, because you want to satisfy each of them playing time.
You really want to make them feel good. All right, quickly let's look at the fixtures for Friday, as Napoli will be taking on Como, like we told you, and that's going to be 6:30. Then Verona will be taking on Venezia, and that's going to be 8:45. Then on Saturday, Udinese will be taking on Leeds. Atlanta will be taking on Genoa, and that's going to be 6 p.m. Inter Milan versus Torino, that's going to be 8:45. Then on Sunday, we'll move to the game where Cagliari will also be moving to Juventus, and that game is going to be 12:30. Bologna versus Parma, then Lazio and Empoli, then Bonza versus Roma, and that game is going to be 6 p.m. Then Fiorentina versus AC Milan, that game is going to be 8:45. I don't know if you want to react to any of this, but then I think we should move on because of our time.
Yeah,
except if you really have
no. Like I did say, we have to watch out for that Inter Torino game. It's going to be a very dicey one because both teams already locked in 11 points each. So there's not much difference between those two teams. They've both drawn 2 games this season. So it's going to be a very tricky one. So if you lose with your money, you know what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying. The king is saying, if you're going to put your money in it, you need to be very, very, very careful so that you don't come crying, you don't come lamenting. The fans and John Lisa are coming back to the home front right now. Let's get to the home front, Nigeria, and see what is happening. But such a good news that fans and John Lisa will decide NFF monthly award winners. I'm talking about the Nigeria Football Federation, as they will on Thursday, and that's today, roll out the maiden nominee for the NFF monthly awards, which will be voted by fans and journalists, and the body announced this yesterday with 3 categories of awards. What are the categories? The project is aimed at celebrating Nigerian players in the Nigerian Premier League. Okay, and that's a very good one, because if you want to talk about the Nigerian Premier Football League, you know that it's not somehow very, very appreciated by the Nigerian people. They don't have a lot of fans. I don't know why, and that's the reason I will always say NFF will have a whole lot to do. But right now, as it is, those are flying their trades with foreign clubs. The categories are number one player of the month for male and female, then goal of the month and discovery of the month. 2 nomination for the first round of the award will be announced. That's going to be today, while voting will be open to fans and of course journalists. Like I said, that's going to be till midnight of October 7. Let's go talk about the league right now. Is this all you think NFF can do to encourage, number one, the players who are applying their trade right now, and number two, to give upcoming footballers the courage and the enthusiasm that there is so much to gain in the round leader game, especially if you are playing at the grassroots, beginning from NNL, then you come to the NPFL, then you get to the Super Eagles and the other sports that we have, especially the round leader game.
I think if the NFF wants to be sincere and do not play lip service to Nigerian football, first of all, they have to ensure that the pitches are good.
Number one.
Then facilities, make sure the facilities are up to standard. Then ensure that players in the various club sites across the country are well paid. Then the issue of transportation of clubs going to various matches, they can strike a deal with the local airlines to see that our players are flown across this various 6 geopolitical zones and states as a deal.
Instead of traveling that long distance
because of the insecurity in the country. And we've seen many clubs have accidents and players died without proper welfare. Then for the stadiums, they have to put this matches on TV in such a way that we can truly watch, not say on TV with some bit of restrictions or networks that only few persons can watch. Make it general, then ensure that the safety within the stadium so that families would want to go and watch matches without crowd violence. When we ensure that, then also have a very genuine system where players can truly be called to the national teams, whether you're the NNL or the MPFL, make sure they have a way of moving up the ladder so that we see players that play for the national teams also play in our local leagues, because that's one key thing that happened in the 80s and early 90s, where we could watch Emmanuel Amunike, watch Daniel Mokachi, watch when the Bull was playing for Ranchers Bees in Kaduna. You could go to Ranchers Bees in Kaduna and watch. You could watch Isaac Samutoje, who was playing for BCC Lions of Boko. He was playing for BCC Lions. He was in the national team. So you have a reason to go watch your national team players play for local leagues. That made it football very interesting. And so once you know, and as a player, once you know you'll be invited to the national team, you give your best in, even if you're playing in Nigeria. And in the early 90s, we had foreign clubs come to Nigeria to poach and sign on players without Nigerian players going abroad seeking for greener pastures. So once the NFF can get this done, then definitely our league is going to be up there. Then when you say you want fans as sportcasters to vote players of the month, then it's because they've seen these players play, they watch them play, they go to the stadium, they see them play. Then when you're voting right. Not say vote for a player that you've never seen play, but just because maybe some media stations are hyping this particular player because the agent probably has done background stuff to get him out there, makes him now a candidate. Like last season, we had Obasoge, Amos Obasoge, who had 18 clean sheets, the best goalkeeper in the MPFL. That's such a player we need to, put out there in the limelight. Such a player deserves a national team call-up to the national team. So when you watch players play, then you can be able to vote right. And I think those are the key things the NFF and the football family needs to do to ensure that not just the players, but the match officials, the referees also get good publicity, so that CAF can invite our referees for international tournaments.
On behalf of the King of Sport, I want to specially apply to the NFF president that you have a special advisor from here. Well, that's so accurate. He just spoke my mind. He just said exactly what it is supposed to be, and this is what we are out here to do. This is what you get from global television. This is what you get on TalkSport. The right thing that can be done to advance sporting activities in the country, beginning from the Nigerian National League down to the NPFL. All right, moving away from there, let's get to all the things happening from the whole front as Yemi Olarewaju can't hide his excitement following Enyimba's hard-fought 1-0 victory over Aqua United. Enyimba, of course, defeated the visitors 1-0 in a rescheduled Nigeria Premier Football League. That's NPFL encounter in Aba. That was yesterday. Substitute Austin Onyemechi, who made his debut for the Aba Giants in the encounter, and netted the winning goal in 12 minutes from the result. Was a welcome reliever for the Abia Giants, who lost 2-0 to Rivers United in Port Harcourt, and that was last weekend. So this excitement, they couldn't hide it. They were not expecting it. What do you think when these two big clubs are playing? I'm talking about Aqua United and well, if you hear those days, if you hear that Enyimba and Aqua United want to play, that's a derby. And as a matter of fact, a lot of people will be, you remember where Vincent Inyama came from, and you know the kind of players that these clubs actually front, the kind of players they have and all of that. Then this game, anytime they want to beat the coaches, there is a way their mind beat, and so this victory, they couldn't hide it, even though it was a narrow one. The visitors 1-0 in a rescheduled Nigeria Premier Football League match, 1-0, you know, losing at home again, beating somebody in his own house. You know how it happened. We were just talking about it. So good. There was nothing like fans reacting, violence, because you know now when these two clubs play, you know how it actually happens. So what would you have to say concerning this game? Is the excitement really worth it?
Yeah, it is, because they lost 2-0 to Rivers United. Don't forget that Olorewaju was assistant of Finidi George before Finidi George took the reins of the Super Eagles coach, and at that point he now took charge. But now Finidi George, after the fact that he didn't do well with the Super Eagles, he is back to Rivers, where he took charge of the team. And so when both teams met last week, it was like apprentice versus master, and Finidi got one over him, whipping him by 2 goals. So this was like a bounce back for Enyimba. So that victory was very important for Enyimba, for them to get back on track. So you could see that's why Olarewaju was very excited, because while Finidi George was on national assignment, he also did travel out of the country for a coaching course. And so what he meant was coming back and get beaten by Finidi George. Then like, so what did he go so well? Yeah. So but now him getting his victory, pound of flesh back, means okay, he's right back on track. So it's a very interesting, this is what we're talking about when we have national team coaches or players involved in the local league, whether you like it or not. It brings some bit of fun and development for our league, because whatever they've learned from the national team, they're bringing to local league. Other players are also learning from them. That's the advantage. Like when you have 5 players invited to the national team, when they come back to their various clubs, those players also see them like national team players who have been to the national team. So they relieve their experiences to them, what it feels like being in national team, what it feels like playing alongside. Like imagine those are playing alongside JJ Coach. So those experiences, when you come back to your team and you feel like, yes, the big boy who has been to the national team, all the players start from that experience, that feeling, that hunger to play for Nigeria. Wearing that big white jersey is no mean feat. 200 million and you have the chance to be there. It definitely is going to inspire you to want to do more. So I think that's what is rubbing off on this coach. That's why he is so excited, and I'm happy that Emmanuel Amunike also went back home to Heartland of Owerri to to become the team manager of that team. That's what we want. More of these players go back to their various states and encourage young stars to want to play for the Super Eagles, the Flying, and the Golden Eagles.
I think it will be a very beautiful one if you go to the MPFL clubs and you see ex-internationals coaching all the clubs. That's a good one, and that's another way to give back to the society where you actually got started from, because a lot of them started from the home front, they started from the grassroots, except for few. Now, let's just get back and talk a little bit about Austin Eguavoen, who has a task ahead of him, the Libya game. And yesterday he made a statement. He said, being a coach of the Super Eagles is not a small thing. There was an adjective he used yesterday, and he said it's not easy. It's not an easy job. And some person say, hey, come on, these statements are mind game. You don't want to tell us that you don't like the job, even though he is not 100% in the shoes yet. Let's see what happens. After the first two games that he led the Super Eagles, he said, well, this is the assignment I was given, and now I'm done. I'm stepping aside. Now he's been called back again to handle this Libya game and the AFCON qualifiers. What do you think about that statement? Is it a mind game, or he really meant it? And you see that he's just saying this so that whatever happened from the Libya game, he will not take the blame, because already he has said it's not an easy job.
All right, we know Cerezo from his time. Remember him very well. If you watch Italian 90, that was when Nigerians like myself didn't forgive him for that tackle against Roberto Baggio. Once he made that tackle, there was that penalty, and Nigeria lost that game against Italy. From that experience he got in Italian 90, fast forward 1994, fast forward to the matches he played for the Super Eagles after retirement, being coach for the Super Eagles. Remember, he lost some key matches. He took us to the Nations Cup, didn't deliver as much as we thought. But recent games, after Finidi George fell out with Victor Osimhen, and he took charge, we could see there's a difference. He is more of a fatherly figure to the Super Eagles players. He's seen there, he has done all that. He played in Belgium, he's been around Europe playing as a defender, and when he says the job is not easy, he knows what he's talking about, because he's facing pressure from the NFF, because whether you like it or not, some NFF officials also want certain players to be in the team, and we have footballers agent also putting pressure on him, wanting them to give their own player a chance in the national team. Don't forget players like Boniface, who is setting the Bundesliga on fire, scored recently also. Is also staking a claim to become Nigeria's top 9. So it means, what he means is that Victor Osimhen is not so safe being the leading top man for the Super Eagles, and he knows what happened to Finidi George. He doesn't want it to happen to him. He knows Nigerians, all they want is victory, win. And so he's being cautious, but deep inside of him, I know everyone wants to succeed. He has coached the Golden Eagles, so he knows what it feels like. So he's in a better place to deliver the goods, to deliver against Libya. He has no option. He's condemned to win.
He's condemned to win, and that's all. Nothing more, nothing less. He's condemned to win. And of course, a very big thank you to you, big King of Sport, for being on the show today. You can see how fantastic, how sweet, and how dynamic, and how entertaining, and how beautiful it is bringing you Talk Sport today. But then make sure you do something very unique. One thing that unites enemies is sport. Sport ignites, sport unites, sport day and night. And that's the reason we keep loving sport, and we keep bringing sport to your table every day. My name is Ramsey Enoch. Thank you for staying with us. Join us again tomorrow for another wonderful edition of Talk Sport. Bye-bye for now.